I woke up to the sound of rain, soft and steady, like it had been looping for hours, not repeating exactly, more like folding back on itself, the way an old vinyl track breathes before the music starts. My window fogged with each quiet breath of wind. I thought I'd stay in bed a little longer, just listening, until I realized the world outside had slowed to match the rhythm. The streets moved like a slow song. No horns, no rushing. Even the trams glided instead of grinding. People walked in quiet agreement, keeping the same gentle tempo. Conversations were soft, short, and full of pauses, like silence itself had value. When I stepped outside, I felt it in my body, the rhythm of the city, a steady beat around 72 beats per minute. My footsteps landed perfectly without trying. Everywhere, there was a soundtrack, the clink of a spoon on a mug, a chair sliding back, bicycle spokes clicking like brushed cymbals. Nobody called it music, but it was impossible not to hear it. At a small market, a vendor sold strawberries one by one. He let me pick 4, washing them under a thin stream of water that tapped like a hi-hat. He handed them to me without a bag, trusting I'd carry them carefully, like notes you don't want to drop. Across the street, a bakery breathed warmth each time the door opened. Inside, there were no lines. A chalkboard leaned against the counter, whispering in tiny script, "Still warm." The knife-slicing loaves moved slowly, almost respectfully, as if rushing would be rude. No billboards, no shouting. Instead, postcards pinned to walls invited you softly, poetry at dusk, pottery at sunset, a quiet film on brick. You found things when you were ready. A watchmaker waved me into his tiny shop, polishing a pocket watch while I held the glass. He spoke once. "Precision isn't pressure. It's patience." I left, feeling like I'd stepped into a different kind of time. Even my phone waited quietly, messages patient and unbothered. That night, rain still fell. Same tempo, same hush. And for the first time in a long while, it felt like the world and I were breathing in sync. The next morning began soft, like someone faded in the day instead of flipping a switch. Clouds hung heavy, carrying a pale, bruised blue light that made every street look like an old photograph. The markets assembled themselves like thoughts drifting into place. Stalls appeared without shouting, handwritten signs tilting slightly, inviting you closer. A ceramic artist arranged bowls in quiet circles, each slightly different, as if asking your hand to hover before choosing. Nobody rushed her, nobody rushed anyone. I watched a customer buy a mug, paying not with coins, but with a folded note holding a pressed flower. The artist smiled, unsurprised. Here, trade wasn't just money, it was gestures, trust, intention. People exchanged buttons, scraps of fabric, bookmarks, poems holding other people's mornings. The economy felt personal, quiet, almost shy. Small acts of care shaped the rhythm of the day. A cafe owner slipped saucers under mugs, protecting the wood beneath. Someone dimmed a lamp instead of switching it off, letting shadows enter gently. A street violinist played under an overhang, while, across the street, a letterpress operator paused his machine so the song could breathe. Technology here knew its place. Phones whispered when needed and stayed silent otherwise. Notifications arrived lowercase, politely, like someone tapping your shoulder. People took photos rarely, only when the moment promised to stay still. I stopped by a fogged window library, where the light felt borrowed from memory. The librarian slid me a book with a handwritten card tucked inside. No scanners, no barcodes, just trust. Even politics carried quiet, no shouting, no cutting each other off. Decisions were passed hand to hand, folded into small notes. Stories became ideas, and ideas turned into visible change. More benches, softer lights, longer crossings. People didn't avoid silence. They made room for it, letting it sit between words like a guest. In cafes, headphones weren't for escape. They were an agreement to share space while drifting separately. By the river, a man collected sounds, not recordings, just awareness. He said these tiny loops shaped the city's heartbeat, Walking home beneath a humming streetlight, I noticed imperfections here weren't mistakes. They were character. The small crackle before the chorus, the pause before a note lands. By the third day, I wondered if this place had rules, or if it was teaching me to forget the ones I brought. I decided to test the system. I set my alarm early and tried moving fast. But even the alarm coughed softly, as if it didn't want to wake anyone. I hurried down the street, but the sidewalk resisted. It wasn't physical, it was rhythm. My pace clashed with the city's tempo. I caught someone's eye as I stumbled. Instead of judging, they slowed even more, showing me the beat, like a musician teaching without words. I matched them. I breathed. The world breathed with me. That afternoon, I found 4 people sitting at a long table, hands busy. One stitched maps showing benches and trees. Another pressed wildflowers into old books, marking the pages for strangers to find. A third rewound cassettes with a pencil, one twist at a time, calling it meditation. Nobody asked why. Doing something small was reason enough. Someone leaned over and said, "There aren't rules, only courtesies. Courtesies ripple farther than laws because they depend on trust, not fear." Later, the city held its quietest festival. No stages, no lights, no headliners. Just windows opening at the same hour and 100 rooms breathing at once. A kettle hissed, a piano stumbled softly through a melody. Someone read a letter aloud, pausing mid-sentence to find the right word. By dusk, the air smelled like tea and basil, butter and graphite. Someone handed me a small lantern and asked if I wanted to carry the evening. I said yes without knowing what it meant. It meant walking the streets until the light from one house touched the next, a soft handoff, street by street, until the dark felt cared for. At the river, 2 strangers swapped headphones. "Someone else's tempo," one said, smiling, the other nodded. "It's good to borrow one sometimes." Later, I passed a notice pinned to a lamppost, "Keep the beat kind." That night, I put on a record. The needle hissed softly, like an inhale before speaking. Outside, rain began again. Same tempo, same hush. And I understood, this world wasn't built to impress you. It was built to hold you.